Acho que João e Sagrada Família.
Ai, tanto faz. Lembra da caca. Mamãe, Rapuan! Mamãe!
Is this the thing that we saw?
Oh, right, do you know when we were down? Go on.
so. Was ich mir so umhängen wollte.